Welcome to this topic video on HTTP cookies. Unfortunately, not the yummy kind, but very necessary. So, the readings in the code. There's a zip of examples that have a server-side example in Node.js, Express, and it uses some templates. Okay, Wikipedia has a good article on cookies. The actual spec from the IETF is actually readable, so worth taking a look too. Okay, MDN has some stuff on cookies, and Express provides cookie methods when you're sending the response. Okay, and for reference, this was an interesting article that describes the types of cookies used by Google. What and why? Okay, an HTTP cookie is a small piece of data that a server sends to the user's web browser. That'll store it and send it back together with the next request to the same server. Why? Oh, typically it's used to know if two requests came from the same browser, allowing the user to say logged in or something like that. Okay? Remembers kind of stateful information for the stateless HTTP protocol. That's right, HTTP protocol doesn't have any state. So we're going to need a little help if we want to keep track of a user's, what might we use these for? We might want to have some personalization. Okay, the user visits the site. We want to show them we know them. We'll keep their preferences in mind. If they don't like our font or they want to use a different font type or different colors. Session management. Let's say we were trying to sell them stuff. We want to allow them to come back and still find their shopping cart and be able to buy that stuff that they put in the shopping cart. Oh, maybe you'd like them to log in. Okay. Other things is, how many times have they come back? Okay, do they visit us often? We can track user behavior. Interesting. Oh, yeah. There's a whole slew of important security and privacy issues related to cookies and their use. Okay, we're going to cover some of them in other slide sets, particularly the security. Privacy, we're not going to be doing anything with cookies that will violate people's privacy. But there are a lot of tricks that are played that essentially allow people to track users where you wouldn't expect them to. Okay, so be cautious out there. Okay, so how does this work? Okay, there's two different roles. There's the server-side role and the browser's role. Okay. It's the server who determines if they want to set a cookie. Only the server can set a cookie. Okay. And there's a header message for doing that called setCookie. You give the cookie a name and then you give it a value. That simple. There's some extra attributes. Okay. It's the server that determines whether there's some state that needs to be stored, and they'll send that information to the browser. Well, how does that work? Okay. Well, here's an example message. Okay. So as part of any message any response message sent by the browser can include the set cookie directive headers. Sorry, not directives. Set cookie headers. Okay, which have a cookie name and its value. Okay. Server determines if they want to do this. What does the client do? Okay. With every new request to the server, the browser will send back all previously stored cookies to the server using the cookie header. Always, always. Okay. To that site. Okay. So this means once you accept a cookie, your browser will always send it. Okay? Why? Because if it doesn't, the server won't know who you are. Okay? So the client stores this information, okay, the cookie, and to remind the server who it is, okay, whatever properties are in that cookie, it always sends it back, okay? That's why it's important from a privacy or non-tracking perspective that they have to ask you before they set the cookie, because otherwise the browser, to make the site work, will always send back the cookie. You can't alter that behavior. You can delete the cookies, okay? Because altering that behavior would break the site, okay? So that is the behavior. Once a cookie's set, okay, the browser will always return it. You can delete cookies in a browser, so that it cannot be sent back anymore. Okay, example, client request, okay? So with some, okay, we're going back to the same site again, okay? They had set cookies previously. We then use the header, but you don't have to do anything. The browser will do this for you, okay? Not set cookie, but cookie. These are the cookies that have previously been set by the site. We return them. It can recognize us then, okay? Well, that's awfully theoretical, Professor. Let's take a look. So we're going to have this cookie example, okay? So let's start it running. Node cookie example. It's going to be running on port 3000. Port 3000. Let's go revisit that page. Oh, now, here's a page. This is a bad weather report for our friend. Okay. Every time I click return, oh, it gives me a new weather forecast or weather report. Since this is made up with random numbers, this is a terrible weather report. It doesn't have any relationship to reality. Okay. Now, we can see here, okay, with each, we have our get and our response headers. Oh, nothing going on. No cookies there. Request headers. No cookies there. Nothing's going on here with cookies. Oh, well, we haven't gotten there yet, of course. Okay. Oh, we're going to allow the user to set preferences. Oh, let's go click this. This is going to bring up a form, username, and preferences. Okay. We wrote this form, obviously. Okay. We go and look under preferences, user pref. It's just a form. Okay. Got a lot of information in it. Okay. Color pickers and things like that, etc., etc., etc. Okay. Names, font selector, all sorts of good stuff. Okay. So that's what's in the form. So let's put some things in there. Dr. B. That'd be me. Let's pick a different color. Let's pick something nifty. Let's do something bluish to remind us of this. Okay, let's see. A preferred font color. I'm going to leave that be. I have trouble seeing now, so I'm going to pick a bigger font, and I'm going to go with something crazy, whatever they're going to think is cursive. Now I'm going to click. Let's be watching the network. Okay. Set your preferences. Okay. Set user preferences. Okay. It was a post. Okay. A post. It's a post form. In the response headers, I'm looking down here at the bottom. Oh, look at this. Set cookie. Set cookie. Okay. So when I submitted the form, it responded with set cookie. Okay. Oh, got it. Oh, and then there's another request. Oh, I guess to get the weather report. Cloudy, wind, okay. Now let's look at this request that went up after, okay? So that's when we submitted the post, okay? How does this work? Well, we're going to see in a sec, so let me not jump ahead. We're not interested in the response headers now. We want to look at the request header, right? The browser sends requests. Look, now we have the browser sending back the cookie. Okay, so this is in the request header. All this information, oh look, hidden in here is things like username, font color, and stuff like that, and background color. Oh, we're hiding all that information, or we're storing, not hiding, all that information in this cookie. Can we do that? Yeah. Is it a great place to store lots of info? No. A little bit? Yeah. Okay. Let's try some things. Oh, well, I have a lot nicer looking preferences. Now it says close tab and reopen. Okay. So here we go. I close the tab. Now I'm going to reopen. Localhost 3000. Oh, it remembers my preferences. Why? Because they're in a cookie. Let's go with a network again, see what's going on. You can see we keep sending in our request header back the cookie. If we go and look in storage, that you might on a Chrome browser, you'll look under application, okay? But in Firefox DevTools, it's under storage. You'll see there's a bunch of different kinds of storage. You'll see there's cookie. You can see the cookies from this particular server. User preferences. It's the cookie. Parse value. Oh, you'll even break it up and look and show me the different values in there. What? Whoa. Pretty cool. How did this work? So it remembers things, okay? How? Via a cookie. We just saw that. Okay, we took a look at the network view. We saw the request and response headers going back and forth. So, well, instead of looking at there, let's look at the code, okay, over here. So the cookie example. Okay, so I'm using Express. I'm using a cookie parser to help read the cookie, okay. Here's my code for generating random weather. I put in a bunch of different weather types, names, okay, in an array. I have a tide range, I have a wind range, okay. Oh, what's this? Const user preference. Here's an initial structure of user preferences that I put together. Default username. Oh, this is like all the default values. Oh, that's why the type size was so small. It was 9 points. I wonder I couldn't read it. Okay, now, if we go over here and look at the outputs, you can see for debug purposes, I've got it spitting out the values of the cookies as they get read, okay? So, what comes in here? So this is the call to get the weather report, okay? First thing I do for debugging purposes, I take a look at the cookies, okay? Now I say prefs equal users prefs. Oh, I initialize that to the default. Okay, if rec cookies.userprefs, if they sent me back a user preference cookie, okay, I'm going to use that value. I'm going to say prefs equals JSON parse. Oh, okay, I'm going to turn this from the cookie's just a string into an object. Professor, why doesn't it just turn it into an object? Because most cookies actually aren't JSON objects, okay? We just did that. It's one technique that you can use, okay? So we're going to so if there's a cookie, we'll grab our preference from there. Otherwise, preferences are just the default. Oh, let info equals whatever, okay, an empty object. Info prefs, oh, we're going to have a subfield of the info, which is the preferences, which we get either from the default, or the cookie. Oh, I see. Code looks a little tricky, but not that much. Here, info weather. Oh, here I start. Oh, here I choose a random element from the array. Okay. Here, for the tide, I use a random number between the time ranges. Okay. For wind. Oh. Then, res render. What's this? Render. Oh, for those of you that might not be in my undergrad class, this renders a template. What does the template look like? Okay. Well, this is weird. Here's the style sheet, but in the middle of it, oh, this is doing variable substitution. Yeah. Prefs.font color. This takes the information given to it, okay, in that info, and it puts it into here before it sends it back. This template idea. For those that have been doing React with me, yeah, looks kind of like the substitution kind of mechanism where we get in React, but instead of a single brace, we use double braces. Okay, this is the Ninja templates, the Ninja templating system. Okay. Oh, so I take the information, okay, and use it to help me render the results back to the user. Gotcha. Okay, then I fill in the report information of tide, wind, and weather. Got it. Okay. Good. So that's a little complicated, but not too bad, and it shows a more realistic example of a cookie. Okay. What else could we put in a cookie? How many times did they visit this site? That's an easy one too. This one was a little bit less trivial. Okay. How do I render the weather? Oh, we already looked at the template. Okay, so we use that template, and cool, we templated the values into the style sheet. Okay. Here was the post form to set the preferences. So we have name, we have background color, input color picker. Okay, we use that to pick the color. Font color, font size, we give it a value, blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's how we did that. Okay. Now when I process the form, let's go see that. App post. Okay. So the form's going to send to this URL. We use some Express middleware. Okay. That knows how to deal with the form body. Okay. This is a URL encoded form body. That's what post forms do. Okay. So we're going to process that information. Oh, I'm going to spit out some log, bunch of console information to see what's going on there. Now, what I do though, okay, with that form, I don't store the information any. Oh wait, look at this. Res.cookie. This is going to set a cookie. Okay. User preferences. That's the name. User prefs. That's the name of the cookie. And I'm going to take, okay, all that information that I get in a nice JavaScript object form from the body. Wow. Okay, from the body, I stringify it to put it back into a cookie. Oh, okay, so we set a cookie. Then we tell them, after they get this response, to go back and look at the main page again. We redirect them to slash, okay, where they get to see their preferences come alive. Oh, pretty nifty. Okay. Professor, yeah. Okay, so we can look at the network settings. We saw the cookies going back and forth. How do you get rid of a cookie? Glad you asked. Would you believe you just delete? Click and delete it? Oh, then when we go revisit that page, we get the generic styling again. Okay, once again, they forgot our name. So we can set CS, or was it too early? This. Okay, we'll go with a huge font size just to be obnoxious. We'll go with a strange color. Just to prove we can set weather report preferences, etc. Okay, cookies. What else might we need to know? Well, there's some extra attributes that can come with cookies. Cookies can have a duration, particularly what are known as permanent cookies. You set an expiration date. Okay? Set cookie, blah, blah, expires, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Now, there's another type of cookie besides permanent cookies known as session cookies. Okay? And the documentation says expires when the browser is closed down or the window is shut. That's not true anymore. Okay? Most browsers have session restore capabilities. They'll bring back the session cookie. Okay? So, when we really want to get rid of a cookie, not us, but from a website perspective, we will actually set the expiration time to right now, the current time, to make sure it expires out. Okay? Because session cookies don't go away easily. So when we want to make sure a cookie is removed, and we'll see why we might want to do that when we talk about sessions. Okay? Not this kind of session. Okay? We'll see we'll actually use the expiration date, the max or at max age attribute. Other attributes in that zip, there's another file called cookie example extended. You can use this to trying to experiment with some of these other cookie options. Okay, I'm not going to demonstrate them now. Okay, another thing is limits who can receive the cookie. Okay, the domain and path directives define the scope of the cookie. Okay, that is, when you go visit a site within a page within a big website, okay, which one of those places might get the cookie sent back to it and which others don't. Okay, you can restrict who the cookie should be sent back to. Okay, that's important because some of the abuse with cookies has to do with what are known as third-party cookies or cookies where other folks are using them to track you. Okay. Secure and HTTP only. Okay. We're going to be doing things with cookies that involve user logins. Okay. The secure attribute says basically, unless you're running over HTTPS, you're not allowed to communicate this cookie. Okay. So the browser will know if it's talking over HTTPS, okay, versus HTTP, and if it's not talking over a secure link, HTTPS, it will not send back the cookie, okay, because we don't want it intercepted. HTTP only, okay, says, you know what? Besides, well, we don't want this cookie to be visible to JavaScript. Okay, only send it back over HTTP or HTTPS, but don't make the cookie available to JavaScript running in the browser. Okay, another security-related option. Other things that are coming up, some same-site cookies are being cooked up to try and prevent certain types of attacks and certain types of other nasty behavior. Okay. So that's an introduction to cookies, and there's more where this came from.